I came home early that day, hoping to surprise Jade with a spontaneous dinner. The silence in the house felt strange, almost foreboding, as I walked through the front door. I shrugged it off, thinking she might be in the bedroom, catching up on her reading or napping. When I reached our bedroom, a low murmur of voices drifted out. My heart skipped a beat, sensing something was off. I opened the door without knocking, and what I saw stopped me cold. Jade and Dan were tangled together in our bed, their bodies moving with a familiarity that made me want to vomit. For a moment, everything stood still. The world narrowed to just me and the image before me. My mind raced as anger turned to rage, a fiery torrent that I could barely contain. "What the hell is going on?" I roared, my voice echoing through the room. Jade and Dan froze, their faces morphing from surprise to sheer panic. Jade scrambled to cover herself, her eyes wide with guilt and fear. Dan, on the other hand, seemed paralyzed, his face pale as he tried to process my sudden appearance. "Please, it's not what it looks like," Jade stammered, her voice trembling. "I can't believe you'd do this to me," I spat, my voice dripping with venom. "How could you betray me like this? I trusted you." Dan, now fully dressed and trembling, tried to make a break for it. "I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean for this to happen," he said, his voice cracking with anxiety. "No, you don't get to run away," I snapped, stepping in front of him. "You're going to face this." Jade started crying, her pleas for forgiveness drowned out by the pounding of my heart in my ears. I could barely hear her over the roar of my anger. "You both think you can just waltz into my life and destroy everything? I won't let you get away with this," I said, feeling a cold resolve settle over me. I stormed out of the room, leaving Jade and Dan to face their shame. I needed to talk to someone, but I wasn't ready to deal with sympathetic glances or half-hearted advice. My mind was set on revenge. I wanted them to feel every ounce of pain they had inflicted on me. I spent the next few days gathering evidence, digging up every secret I could find. It was almost therapeutic, the meticulous process of uncovering the truth. With each new piece of information, my resolve grew stronger. I wasn't just going to keep this to myself, I was going to expose them. I decided on the ultimate public humiliation. A high-profile party where everyone who was anyone in our social circle would be present. It would be the perfect stage for my plan. The day arrived, and with a mix of anticipation and dread, I prepared to unveil Jade and Dan's betrayal to the world. As I stood before the crowd, holding the damning evidence in my hands, I could see Jade and Dan in the corner, their faces flushed with panic. The room buzzed with whispers as I prepared to deliver the ultimate blow. The party was in full swing, with laughter and clinking glasses filling the air. I watched from the edge of the room, my heart racing with a mix of dread and anticipation. The moment of truth was approaching. Jade and Dan mingled with the crowd, their attempts at normalcy painfully transparent. I could see the strain in their forced smiles, the anxiety in their eyes. They had no idea what was coming. The house was packed with our closest friends and acquaintances, all eager to celebrate and oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. I had set up a projector in the living room, a careful arrangement that would ensure everyone could see the evidence I was about to present. My stomach churned as I mentally reviewed my strategy. This was more than just exposing them, it was about making them understand the depth of the damage they had caused. I cleared my throat and tapped the microphone, drawing everyone's attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention for a moment," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I have something important to share." A murmur spread through the crowd as curiosity piqued. Jade and Dan exchanged uneasy glances, their faces growing paler by the second. I took a deep breath and hit the play button on the projector. Images flickered onto the screen, photos of Jade and Dan together, some of them intimate and private, others showing them in various stages of deception. The room fell silent, the only sound the steady hum of the projector. Gasps and whispers erupted as people began to realize the gravity of what they were seeing. Jade's face flushed a deep crimson as she realized the full extent of the public humiliation. Her attempts to maintain composure dissolved into tears as she looked around at the shocked faces of our friends. Dan, too, looked like a deer caught in headlights, his eyes darting around in panic. I watched as their discomfort turned into full-blown distress. It felt almost surreal, the way their world was unraveling before them. I'd spent days gathering this evidence, meticulously planning every detail. Now, standing here, it felt both exhilarating and horrifying to see it all come to fruition. People began to approach Jade and Dan, their questions and accusations adding to the chaos. Some friends tried to comfort Jade, but their words felt hollow compared to the weight of the betrayal. Dan, attempting to salvage some dignity, tried to explain himself, but his words were drowned out by the collective judgment of the crowd. The party that had started as a celebration turned into a spectacle of scandal. I moved through the room, watching the scene unfold with a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. The ultimate revenge had been served, but the cost was more than just their reputations. It was the end of something that was once precious to me. As the night dragged on, the crowd slowly began to disperse, leaving Jade and Dan to face the aftermath of their actions. I could see the exhaustion and despair in their eyes, and though a part of me felt vindicated, another part was deeply saddened by the way things had turned out. I left the house, my mind numb from the evening's events. The public exposure had been my way of reclaiming some sense of justice, but it had come at the expense of my own peace. The ultimate betrayal had been unveiled, but the echoes of that night would linger long after the last guest had gone. The days following the party were a blur of confusion and confrontation. I had expected anger and resentment from Jade and Dan, but I was unprepared for the full scope of the fallout. The public revelation of their affair had reverberated through our social circle, leaving both of them isolated and discredited. But amidst the chaos, I found myself grappling with a different kind of turmoil. Jade reached out to me several times, trying to explain and apologize, but I couldn't bring myself to answer her calls. Every time I saw her name flash on my phone, a wave of anger and betrayal washed over me, leaving me paralyzed. I wanted to scream at her, to make her understand the depth of her betrayal, but I also felt a gnawing emptiness, a loss that went beyond mere anger. Dan, meanwhile, had disappeared from the social scene entirely. I heard rumors that he had left town, perhaps seeking refuge from the fallout. I didn't care where he went or what happened to him, my focus was entirely on Jade. She had been the one I loved, the one who had broken my trust in the most profound way. My friends were sympathetic but couldn't fully grasp what I was going through. They offered their support, but their words felt hollow compared to the pain I felt inside. It was as if they were trying to piece together a puzzle with missing parts, never quite understanding the whole picture of my shattered life. One evening, Jade showed up at my doorstep. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying, and she looked more vulnerable than I had ever seen her. "Please, just let me explain," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I know I messed up, but I need you to understand why." I was torn. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, to deny her the chance to justify her actions. But another part of me, the part that had loved her deeply, was curious about what she had to say. With a heavy heart, I opened the door and let her in. We sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the situation hanging between us. Jade took a deep breath and began to speak, her voice trembling. "I never meant for any of this to happen," she said. "It started out as something small, something that seemed harmless, but it grew into something I couldn't control." She talked about feeling neglected, about her dissatisfaction with our relationship, and how Dan had been there when she felt alone. Her words were a mix of regret and justification, an attempt to explain away her actions. I listened, but every explanation felt like an inadequate bandage on a deep wound. "I never wanted to hurt you," Jade said, her eyes pleading. "I'm so sorry for what I did. I wish I could take it all back." Hearing her voice, seeing her anguish, did little to alleviate my pain. Her apologies were a bittersweet reminder of what had been lost. "You can't undo what's been done," I said quietly. "The damage is done, and I'm not sure if I can ever forgive you." Jade nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand," she said softly. "I just wanted you to know that I am truly sorry." As she left, the finality of our conversation hit me. I had expected closure, but instead, I felt a profound sense of emptiness. Jade's explanations had not fixed anything, they had only highlighted the chasm that now lay between us. In the days that followed, I tried to find some semblance of normalcy. But the echoes of betrayal and the weight of lost trust lingered. The public spectacle had served its purpose, but it had also left me grappling with a new reality. The path forward was unclear, and I was left to navigate the uncertain terrain of healing and self-discovery. In the weeks following Jade's visit, I found myself immersed in a routine of numbness and reflection. My days were a cycle of work and isolation, punctuated only by fleeting moments of anger and sorrow. The public fallout had calmed, but the internal storm raged on. I threw myself into my job, using work as a distraction from the emotional wreckage that my life had become. It was a temporary solace, a way to avoid confronting the deeper issues that lingered beneath the surface. Each day was a struggle to maintain some semblance of normalcy while battling the constant reminders of Jade and Dan's betrayal. My social circle had also changed. Some friends had distanced themselves, unsure how to interact with me or perhaps uncomfortable with the fallout. Others, though well-meaning, were overly solicitous, offering advice that seemed to only deepen my sense of isolation. I appreciated their support, but it felt inadequate in the face of the profound changes in my life. I began to seek solace in solitary activities, long walks, late-night drives, and solitary evenings at home. It was during one of these walks, as I wandered through the park where Jade and I had spent countless evenings together, that I encountered one of our former mutual friends. Lisa. Lisa looked at me with a mix of sympathy and hesitation. "Hey, I heard about everything that happened," she said softly. "I'm really sorry. If you ever want to talk or need anything, I'm here." Her genuine offer of support was a small but welcome reprieve from the general atmosphere of awkwardness that had surrounded me. I nodded appreciatively, and for the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to open up about what I had been going through. Lisa listened without judgment, offering a kind ear and understanding words. Our conversations became a small refuge, a place where I could express my feelings without fear of being misunderstood. It was through these talks that I began to process the depth of my emotions, to acknowledge the hurt and betrayal, and to slowly come to terms with the reality of what had happened. Despite this, the idea of moving forward remained daunting. The idea of starting over, of finding a new path, was both overwhelming and terrifying. I questioned my own judgment, wondering if there was something I had missed. Something that might have prevented the betrayal from occurring. One evening, as I was reflecting on these thoughts, I received an unexpected message from Jade. She had been attempting to reach out, but this was the first time she had contacted me since our last conversation. The message was brief but direct. "I've been thinking a lot about us and about everything that happened. I'd like to meet and talk, if you're willing." The idea of meeting her again filled me with a mix of dread and curiosity. Part of me wanted to ignore the message, to continue avoiding the painful subject. But another part, the part still grappling with unanswered questions and unresolved feelings, wondered if a final conversation might provide some closure or at least a better understanding of what had transpired. I wrestled with the decision for days, weighing the potential benefits and drawbacks of another meeting. Finally, I agreed to meet her at a quiet cafe, a neutral space where we could talk without the pressure of our previous confrontations. As I prepared for the meeting, I realized that this conversation might be the last chance to make sense of the turmoil I had been through. Whether it would bring clarity or simply more questions, I couldn't say. But I knew that facing Jade one more time was a necessary step in my journey toward healing and moving forward. The cafe was a quiet refuge from the chaos that had dominated my life for the past few weeks. Jade had chosen a small corner table, far from the bustling noise of the main area. I arrived early, my nerves a bundle of frayed emotions, and took a seat, trying to calm my racing thoughts. When Jade walked in, her expression was a mixture of hope and trepidation. She looked different, more subdued, as if the weight of her actions had finally settled on her shoulders. I stood to greet her, and we exchanged awkward pleasantries before sitting down. The tension between us was palpable, an invisible barrier that seemed almost as real as the table between us. Jade fidgeted with her coffee cup, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for the right words. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me," she said finally. Her voice was soft, almost pleading. "I know I don't have the right to ask for anything, but I needed to talk to you, to explain." I nodded, trying to keep my expression neutral. "Go ahead," I said, my tone more curt than I intended. "I'm listening." Jade took a deep breath, her gaze meeting mine with a mixture of vulnerability and determination. "I've been reflecting a lot on what happened," she began, "and I realize now how deeply I hurt you. I've been trying to understand why I did what I did, and I think I owe you an explanation." As she spoke, I listened with a mix of skepticism and resignation. Jade talked about the emotional distance she felt in our relationship, her sense of isolation, and how she had sought solace in Dan. It was a narrative I had heard before, But this time there was something different, a raw honesty in her voice, a sense that she was truly grappling with her own mistakes. I was so focused on my own unhappiness that I didn't consider how my actions would affect you, Jade continued. I didn't stop to think about the consequences or the pain I would cause. And now, seeing the damage I've done, I feel like I've lost a part of myself. Her words were a jumble of remorse and self-reflection. Part of me wanted to accept her apology, to find solace in her regrets, but another part of me remained guarded. The betrayal had cut deep, and no amount of explanation could erase the scars it left behind. I understand that you're sorry, I said quietly. But it doesn't change what happened. The trust we had is gone, and it's not something that can be easily repaired. Jade nodded, tears welling in her eyes. I know, she said. I just wanted to be honest with you. I didn't want to leave things unresolved or have you think I don't care about the pain I caused. You meant everything to me, and I wish I could turn back time. Her words were heartfelt, but they also felt like a final chapter in a story that had already reached its end. The pain and betrayal were still fresh, and the reality of our situation made it clear that reconciliation wasn't a simple option. I appreciate your honesty, I said. But I need to move forward. I need to focus on healing and finding a new path for myself. I can't dwell on the past forever. Jade's shoulders slumped, and she wiped away a tear. I understand, she said softly. I hope you find the peace you're looking for. And if there's ever a chance for us to find closure, I'd like that. But I know it's not up to me anymore. As we stood to leave, the finality of our meeting hung heavy in the air. Jade and I exchanged one last look, a mixture of sadness and resignation. I walked away from the cafe feeling a sense of closure, but also a profound emptiness. The journey of healing was just beginning, and the road ahead was uncertain. But at least now, I had taken a crucial step toward moving forward, facing the future with a renewed sense of purpose. After my meeting with Jade, I found myself grappling with the reality of moving forward. The conversation had brought some closure, but it had also left me with a lingering sense of uncertainty. The life I had once known was gone, and rebuilding from the wreckage seemed like an insurmountable task. I decided to take some time off work to focus on myself and sort through the emotional aftermath. My days became a series of attempts to regain control over my life. I started by reconnecting with old friends and engaging in activities I had neglected while in the midst of my relationship with Jade. One of the first things I did was visit the lake near my old family cabin. It had always been a place of solace for me, a sanctuary where I could think and reflect without the distractions of everyday life. As I stood by the water, watching the sun set in brilliant hues of orange and pink, I felt a profound sense of peace that had been missing for months. I spent hours there, contemplating the future and what I wanted from it. The tranquility of the lake contrasted sharply with the turbulence of my recent past. And for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope. The path to healing was still uncertain, but being in a place that had once been a source of comfort helped me regain perspective. As days turned into weeks, I found myself drawn to new experiences. I took up painting, something I had always wanted to try but never found the time for. It was a way to channel my emotions, to express the complex feelings of anger, sadness, and eventual hope through colors and brushstrokes. Each canvas became a reflection of my journey, a tangible representation of my progress. I also began volunteering at a local community center. Helping others, sharing their struggles, and contributing to something positive provided a sense of purpose that had been missing for so long. It was a reminder that even amidst personal turmoil, there was still a chance to make a difference in the world. In these moments of self-discovery, I started to understand the importance of moving on, not just as a way to escape the past but as a means to build a new future. The pain of Jade's betrayal was still there, but it no longer consumed me. Instead, it became a catalyst for personal growth. One evening, as I was wrapping up a painting session, I received a message from one of Jade's friends. The message was a simple invitation to a gathering they were having, a chance for old friends to catch up. I was hesitant at first but decided to attend, feeling it might be another step toward reintegration into my former social circle. At the gathering, I encountered familiar faces and engaged in light conversations. I could sense the awkwardness lingering from the fallout, but it was manageable. The people there were trying to bridge the gap, to offer support without prying into details that were best left in the past. As the evening progressed, I found myself in a conversation with an old friend, Emily. She had always been perceptive and understanding, and her presence was a comforting reminder of the connections that had endured despite the chaos. We talked about life, changes, and the future. Her words of encouragement and understanding reinforced the sense of hope I had begun to cultivate. The event marked a significant turning point. I realized that while the past was an integral part of my story, it didn't have to dictate my future. There was a possibility for new beginnings, for finding happiness again. Jade and Dan were part of my history, but they no longer defined my present. As I walked away from the gathering, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead was still filled with uncertainty, but it was also full of potential. With each step, I was moving further from the shadows of betrayal and closer to a future where I could embrace new possibilities and opportunities. Months passed, and life gradually began to regain a semblance of normalcy. My focus on painting and volunteering had become more than just distractions, they had become integral parts of my new routine. I was starting to feel a sense of fulfillment and purpose that I hadn't experienced in a long time. One crisp autumn morning, as I was preparing for a day of volunteering, I received an unexpected call. It was from an old colleague, Tom, who I hadn't spoken to in years. Tom was organizing a charity art auction and wanted to feature some of my recent paintings. The idea of showcasing my work in such a meaningful context was both exciting and intimidating. I agreed to participate, seeing it as another opportunity to share my journey and connect with others. The preparation for the auction became a new focus, and I threw myself into organizing and selecting pieces that best represented my artistic evolution. Each painting was a testament to the emotional highs and lows I had experienced over the past year. The night of the auction arrived, and the venue was alive with energy. The walls were adorned with various works of art, each piece telling its own story. I mingled with the guests, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. The support and interest in my work were encouraging, and it felt good to be part of something positive and impactful. As the evening progressed, I found myself reflecting on how far I had come. The paintings that lined the walls were not just products of my talent but also symbols of my personal growth. They represented a journey from heartbreak to healing, a visual narrative of my emotional evolution. During a quiet moment, I was approached by a woman named Sarah, a local art critic. She had been following my work and expressed genuine admiration for the depth and sincerity of my pieces. Her praise was both flattering and reassuring, affirming that my efforts were resonating with others. As the auction continued, I had the chance to speak with several attendees who shared their own stories and experiences. It was a reminder that while my journey had been painful, it was also one of shared human experience. Connecting with others and hearing their stories of resilience and growth was a profound experience that added a new layer to my own healing process. By the end of the evening, I was exhausted but exhilarated. The auction had been a success, both in terms of the funds raised for charity and the positive reception of my work. It was a testament to how far I had come and a reminder that there were still meaningful connections to be made, even after profound loss. As I packed up my things and prepared to leave, I felt a sense of accomplishment and contentment. The road to recovery had been long and challenging, but moments like this reinforced the progress I had made. The ultimate goal had shifted from simply moving past the betrayal to actively creating a future filled with purpose and connection. Walking to my car, I felt a renewed sense of hope. The future was still uncertain, but it was also filled with possibilities. The journey of healing had taken unexpected turns, but it had led me to a place where I could embrace new opportunities and build a life that was truly my own. The days following the charity auction brought a new sense of momentum into my life. The success of the event not only validated my artistic endeavors but also spurred me to explore new avenues for personal and professional growth. I started to consider what my next steps might be, both in my art and in my life. One afternoon, as I was working on a new series of paintings, I received an invitation to a gallery exhibition in the city. The invitation was from Sarah, the art critic who had shown such interest in my work at the auction. She was hosting a show for emerging artists and had included my pieces among the featured works. It was an unexpected honor and a significant opportunity for exposure. The night of the exhibition arrived, and the gallery was abuzz with excitement. As I walked through the doors, I was struck by the vibrant atmosphere and the diverse array of artwork on display. I felt a mix of pride and apprehension as I saw my paintings displayed alongside those of other talented artists. Sarah greeted me warmly and guided me through the gallery, introducing me to various patrons and art enthusiasts. Her praise and encouragement were uplifting, and I began to feel a growing confidence in my work. It was clear that my art was connecting with people in a meaningful way, and the feedback I received was overwhelmingly positive. In the midst of the evening, I struck up a conversation with a fellow artist named Lucas. He was friendly and engaging, and we quickly discovered a shared passion for exploring the emotional aspects of art. Our discussion flowed easily, and I found myself energized by his insights and enthusiasm. We exchanged contact information and agreed to stay in touch. As the exhibition continued, I was approached by several collectors and curators interested in my work. The attention and recognition were gratifying, and I began to see the potential for my art to reach a broader audience. The evening proved to be not only a successful showcase but also a valuable networking opportunity. After the event, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and direction. The positive reception of my art and the connections I made were signs that I was on the right path. It was a turning point that affirmed my decision to pursue my artistic passions more seriously. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. I worked on new projects, collaborated with other artists, and participated in additional exhibitions and art fairs. Each opportunity reinforced my belief that I was building something meaningful and fulfilling. Despite the progress, I was still haunted by moments of doubt and reflection on my past. There were times when I missed the familiarity of my old life and the comfort of a once shared future with Jade. But these feelings were increasingly overshadowed by the excitement of my new endeavors and the joy of discovering my own strength and resilience. One evening, as I sat in my studio, reflecting on the past year, I realized that I had come a long way from the pain of betrayal. The journey had been arduous, but it had also led to personal growth and new beginnings. My art was no longer just a means of coping, it had become a way to connect with others and to express the complexities of my experiences. I had learned that while the past could not be erased, it could be transformed into something valuable. My work, my newfound connections, and my evolving sense of self were all testaments to the strength I had discovered within myself. As I continued to build on the momentum of my recent successes, I embraced the uncertainty of the future with a sense of optimism. The road ahead was still unwritten, but it was filled with possibilities. And for the first time in a long time, I felt ready to face it with confidence and hope. The buzz from the gallery exhibition soon settled into a steady rhythm of work and personal growth. With my art gaining traction, I began to establish a more structured routine, balancing between creating new pieces and engaging with the art community. The momentum felt invigorating, but I was also keenly aware that I was navigating a delicate balance between professional success and personal healing. One morning, as I was preparing for a new project, I received an email from an art magazine requesting an interview about my recent work and the journey I had undergone. It was an exciting opportunity, but it also stirred up a mix of nerves and anticipation. I knew that discussing my personal experiences publicly would require a level of vulnerability I hadn't fully embraced yet. The interview was scheduled for a week later, giving me time to prepare. I spent several days reflecting on how to articulate my journey in a way that was both honest and constructive. I wanted to share my story without being overwhelmed by the past, focusing instead on how the experiences had shaped my art and my outlook on life. When the day of the interview arrived, I felt a mixture of anxiety and eagerness. The interviewer, Jane, was a seasoned journalist known for her empathetic approach. Her questions were thoughtful and probing, aimed at understanding the emotional undercurrents of my work. As we talked, I found myself delving into aspects of my experience I hadn't fully confronted before. Jane's questions led me to explore how the betrayal and subsequent recovery had influenced not just my art but my perspective on relationships and personal growth. I spoke about the healing power of creativity and the ways in which I had used my art to navigate the complexities of my emotions. Jane listened attentively, and her responses were encouraging. "Your story is incredibly powerful," she said. "It's evident that your art has become a medium for transformation and self-discovery. I believe many people will find inspiration in your journey." Her words resonated with me. The process of sharing my experiences was cathartic, and I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The interview not only provided an opportunity to reflect on my growth but also to connect with others who might be facing similar challenges. After the interview, I continued to engage actively in the art community, participating in panels and discussions that explored the intersection of art and personal experience. Each engagement reinforced the notion that sharing my journey was not just about recounting the past but about contributing to a broader dialogue on resilience and transformation. As the months went by, the positive feedback from the interview and subsequent interactions helped solidify my sense of purpose. The recognition and support from the art world were gratifying, but it was the internal growth that mattered most. I had transformed my pain into something meaningful, and it was this transformation that became the cornerstone of my new identity. One evening, after a particularly inspiring art event, I found myself reflecting on how far I had come. The journey from heartbreak to healing had been fraught with challenges, but it had also been filled with moments of profound insight and growth. My art had become a testament to that journey, a way to communicate the depth of my experiences and the resilience I had discovered. As I looked around at the vibrant world I was now part of, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. The future remained uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities and opportunities for further growth. I had come to understand that the ultimate measure of success was not just in external achievements but in the ability to embrace and grow from life's challenges. With a heart full of hope and a spirit renewed by the journey, I prepared to continue my path, ready to face whatever lay ahead with the strength and insight I had gained. The story of my past had become a part of my present, shaping not only who I was but who I was yet to become. As the new year approached, I found myself in a reflective mood, contemplating the journey that had brought me to this point. The art community had embraced my work, and the opportunities to connect with others had expanded my horizons. Yet, beneath the surface of my newfound success, I was still grappling with the echoes of my past. One cold December afternoon, I received an unexpected call from Dan. His voice was tentative, a stark contrast to the confident tone I remembered from our last encounter. He wanted to meet and talk, expressing a desire to discuss things from his perspective. The request took me by surprise, stirring up old wounds but also a curiosity about what he had to say. I agreed to meet him, choosing a small cafe near the gallery where my latest exhibition had been held. The setting was neutral, a place where we could talk without the intensity of a more formal environment. When Dan arrived, he looked older and more haggard than I remembered, a clear sign that the past year had taken its toll on him as well. We sat down, and the initial moments were marked by an awkward silence. Dan took a deep breath before speaking. "I know this is strange, but I needed to reach out. I've been struggling a lot with everything that happened. I wanted to apologize in person and try to explain my side of things." I listened quietly, trying to maintain a neutral expression. Dan's words came out in a mix of remorse and regret. He spoke about his own feelings of guilt and confusion, admitting that he had been wrestling with the consequences of his actions. His story was familiar, echoing some of the same themes Jade had touched upon, but with a different perspective. "I never meant to hurt you," Dan said, his voice trembling slightly. "I got caught up in my own issues and made some terrible decisions. I realize now how wrong I was and how much pain I caused." His apology was sincere, but it did little to erase the hurt from the past. I nodded, acknowledging his words but feeling a mix of detachment and residual pain. "I appreciate that you've come here to speak with me," I said. "But it's important to remember that while apologies are a start, they don't change what happened. The impact of your actions is something I had to deal with, and it's not something that can be easily fixed." Dan's shoulders slumped, and he looked down, clearly affected by my response. "I understand," he said quietly. "I just wanted you to know that I'm truly sorry. I'm working on making things right in my own life, and I hope that, in time, you can find it in yourself to move on and find peace." The conversation left me with mixed emotions. While Dan's apology was a step toward closure, it also reinforced the complexity of the situation. The betrayal had been a catalyst for my personal growth, but it had also left scars that would take time to heal fully. As we parted ways, I felt a sense of finality. The meeting had brought some resolution but also highlighted the ongoing nature of my journey. I had made significant strides in moving forward, but the process of healing was continuous, shaped by each interaction and reflection. Returning to my studio, I took comfort in the familiar routine of painting. The act of creating was a grounding force, allowing me to process my feelings and channel them into something constructive. The art I produced continued to be a reflection of my inner world, a testament to the resilience and growth that had emerged from adversity. Looking ahead, I remained optimistic about the future. The past year had taught me valuable lessons about forgiveness, growth, and the importance of moving forward. Each step, whether through personal interactions or creative endeavors, was part of a larger journey towards self-discovery and fulfillment. As the year came to a close, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and readiness to embrace whatever lay ahead. The ultimate goal was no longer just about recovering from the past but about building a future that honored my experiences and aspirations. With a heart open to new possibilities and a spirit strengthened by resilience, I prepared to welcome the new year with hope and determination. As the new year unfolded, I found myself embracing a renewed sense of purpose and direction. The past months had been a whirlwind of exhibitions, interviews, and personal reflection. I was learning to navigate this new chapter of my life with a blend of optimism and cautious realism. The art world was becoming a more familiar place, and I was starting to feel a deeper connection to my own creative journey. One cold January evening, while reviewing the plans for my next solo show, I received an invitation to a prestigious art retreat in the mountains. The retreat was known for bringing together influential artists and offering an immersive experience focused on creativity and personal growth. It was a rare opportunity and one that I felt compelled to seize. I spent the weeks leading up to the retreat preparing both mentally and artistically. I wanted to ensure that I could fully engage with the experience and make the most of the opportunity. The idea of spending time in a serene and inspiring environment appealed to me, and I was excited about the potential for new insights and connections. Upon arrival at the retreat, I was struck by the beauty of the location. Nestled in the mountains, the retreat offered breathtaking views and a peaceful ambiance that was a stark contrast to the hustle and bustle of city life. The atmosphere was conducive to introspection and creativity, and I felt a sense of calm as I settled into my surroundings. The retreat began with a series of workshops and group discussions led by accomplished artists and mentors. Each session was designed to explore different facets of artistic expression and personal development. The interactions were both stimulating and challenging, pushing me to delve deeper into my creative process and reflect on my artistic identity. One particular workshop focused on the theme of transformative art, encouraging participants to explore how personal experiences could be translated into meaningful artistic expression. It was an opportunity to revisit my own journey and consider how the pain and growth I had experienced could continue to inform my work. During one of the sessions, I found myself opening up about my past experiences with the group. Sharing my story and hearing others' reflections created a profound sense of connection. It was a reminder that art was not just a personal endeavor but a shared experience that could resonate with others on a deep level. In the evenings, I took advantage of the retreat's natural beauty, finding solace in solitary walks and moments of quiet contemplation. The tranquil environment provided a perfect backdrop for reflection, and I began to see new possibilities for my work. The retreat became a period of renewal, where I could focus on my art without the usual distractions. As the retreat progressed, I forged meaningful connections with fellow artists. One of these connections was with a woman named Lily, a painter whose work had a hauntingly beautiful quality. We spent hours discussing our artistic philosophies and sharing insights. Our conversations were deeply enriching, and I felt a renewed sense of inspiration and creativity. By the end of the retreat, I had gained invaluable insights and a fresh perspective on my art. The experience had been transformative, not only in terms of artistic development but also in personal growth. I returned home with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper understanding of how my past experiences could continue to shape and enrich my creative journey. The retreat had also provided a much-needed break from the complexities of my daily life, allowing me to return to my studio with a sense of clarity and focus. I was excited to apply the new techniques and ideas I had explored, eager to see how they would influence my upcoming projects. As I settled back into my routine, I felt a renewed sense of determination. The retreat had reinforced the notion that while the journey of healing and growth was ongoing, each step forward was an opportunity to embrace new possibilities and continue building on the progress I had made. With a heart full of inspiration and a mind brimming with new ideas, I was ready to face the challenges and opportunities of the coming year. The ultimate goal was to continue evolving as an artist and as a person, using the lessons from my past to create a future filled with meaning and fulfillment. As the first signs of spring began to emerge, my life felt like it was in a state of renewal. The art retreat had reinvigorated my creative spirit, and I was eager to apply the insights I had gained to my work. The months ahead promised new opportunities and challenges, and I was ready to embrace them with renewed enthusiasm. One day, I received an invitation to participate in an international art exhibition. The exhibition was being held in a major city and promised to bring together artists from around the world. It was an exciting opportunity to showcase my work on a global stage and connect with a broader audience. I knew it would be a significant milestone in my career, and I was determined to make the most of it. In preparation for the exhibition, I dedicated myself to creating a new series of paintings that reflected the themes of transformation and resilience. Each piece was a personal exploration of the journey I had undergone, infused with the insights I had gained from the retreat. I wanted my work to speak not only to my own experiences but also to resonate with others who had faced their own struggles and triumphs. The weeks leading up to the exhibition were a whirlwind of activity. I was busy finalizing my pieces, arranging logistics, and coordinating with the exhibition organizers. Despite the busy schedule, I felt a deep sense of purpose and excitement. This was not just a chance to present my work but an opportunity to engage with a wider artistic community and share my story on a larger scale. When the day of the exhibition arrived, I traveled to the city with a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. The venue was a grand gallery with high ceilings and expansive walls, perfect for showcasing a diverse range of artwork. As I arrived, I was struck by the scale and elegance of the space. It was both inspiring and overwhelming. The opening night was a bustling event, filled with artists, critics, and art enthusiasts from around the world. I mingled with the crowd, engaging in conversations about my work and learning about the artistic endeavors of others. The feedback I received was overwhelmingly positive, and I felt a sense of pride and validation. As the exhibition progressed, I had the opportunity to participate in panel discussions and artist talks. These interactions allowed me to share my journey and insights with a broader audience, and I was gratified by the interest and engagement from the attendees. It was clear that my story had resonated with many, and the conversations I had were both enlightening and rewarding. One of the most memorable moments of the exhibition came when a prominent art collector expressed interest in acquiring one of my pieces. The collector, named Samuel, was known for his discerning taste and support of emerging artists. The opportunity to have my work featured in his collection was a significant honor and a testament to the progress I had made. As the exhibition drew to a close, I reflected on the experience with a deep sense of fulfillment. The exposure and connections I had gained were invaluable, and I felt that my work had reached a new level of recognition and impact. The international stage had provided a platform for me to share my journey and connect with others on a global scale. Returning home, I was energized by the success of the exhibition and the new opportunities it had opened. The experience had reinforced my belief in the power of art to transcend personal struggles and connect with a broader audience. It was a reminder that my journey, while deeply personal, also had the potential to inspire and impact others. With a renewed sense of purpose and a heart full of gratitude, I continued to build on the momentum of the exhibition. The future was filled with possibilities, and I was eager to explore new avenues for growth and creativity. Each step forward was a testament to the resilience and strength that had defined my journey, and I was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead with optimism and determination. With the success of the international exhibition behind me, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement for the future. The experiences of the past year had reshaped my artistic journey and personal growth. I was eager to build on this momentum and explore new creative horizons. One sunny afternoon, while preparing for an upcoming solo show, I received a message from Lily, the artist I had connected with at the retreat. She invited me to collaborate on a joint project that aimed to merge our artistic styles and explore new themes. The proposal intrigued me, and I saw it as an opportunity to push my boundaries and delve into uncharted territories. Lily and I began brainstorming ideas for our collaboration, focusing on themes that resonated with both of us. We wanted to create a series that explored the concept of human connection and the interplay between personal experiences and universal emotions. The process was invigorating, as we combined our distinct styles to create something truly unique. Our project took shape over several months. With both of us dedicating time to our shared vision, we exchanged ideas and critiques, and the creative synergy between us was electric. The collaboration not only broadened my artistic perspective but also deepened my appreciation for the diverse ways in which art can be expressed. As we neared the completion of our series, I received an invitation to participate in a prestigious art symposium focused on the intersection of art and social change. The symposium promised to bring together thought leaders, activists, and artists to discuss the impact of art on societal issues. It was an opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue and explore how my work could contribute to broader conversations about social change. I accepted the invitation with enthusiasm, eager to share my experiences and insights. The symposium provided a platform to discuss the transformative power of art and its ability to reflect and influence societal issues. My presentation, which highlighted the themes of transformation and resilience in my work, was well received, and I was inspired by the diverse perspectives and ideas shared by other participants. During the symposium, I had the chance to engage in discussions with activists and artists whose work focused on social justice and community empowerment. These conversations were enlightening, and they sparked new ideas about how my art could address and engage with pressing social issues. I felt a renewed sense of responsibility to use my creative voice in ways that could contribute to positive change. As the symposium concluded, I returned to my studio with a wealth of new ideas and a deeper understanding of the potential impact of my work. The collaboration with Lily and the insights gained from the symposium inspired me to approach my art with a renewed sense of purpose and commitment. In the months that followed, I continued to develop the themes explored in our collaborative series, integrating new perspectives and ideas into my work. The experience of working with Lily and engaging with broader discussions about art and social change had enriched my artistic practice and deepened my connection to the themes I was exploring. The journey of the past year had been transformative, and it was clear that the lessons learned and connections made would continue to shape my artistic and personal growth. Each new project and opportunity was a chance to build on the progress I had made and to explore new dimensions of my creative expression. As I looked ahead, I felt a profound sense of gratitude and anticipation. The road to this point had been marked by challenges and triumphs, and each experience had contributed to the evolution of my art and my understanding of myself. With a heart full of inspiration and a mind open to new possibilities, I was ready to embrace the future and continue exploring the boundless potential of my creative journey. The arrival of summer brought with it a new sense of energy and possibility. With my recent projects and collaborations fueling my creative drive, I felt an eagerness to explore new avenues and expand my horizons. It was a period of transition, and I was ready to embrace the changes and opportunities that lay ahead. One day, while browsing through art publications, I stumbled upon an article about a renowned art residency program in Europe. The residency promised a unique opportunity for artists to immerse themselves in a new environment, collaborate with international peers, and receive mentorship from established artists. The idea of spending time in a different cultural setting, away from the familiar routines, was incredibly appealing. I applied for the residency, carefully crafting my application to highlight how the program would contribute to my artistic development and personal growth. The application process was rigorous, but I felt confident that my recent experiences and the depth of my work would resonate with the selection committee. A few weeks later, I received the news that I had been accepted into the residency program. The excitement I felt was palpable, and I began preparing for the journey ahead. The residency would take place in a picturesque town known for its vibrant art scene and rich cultural heritage. It was the perfect setting for a period of reflection and exploration. As the departure date approached, I wrapped up ongoing projects and made arrangements for my time away. Leaving behind the comfort of my studio and daily routines was a bittersweet experience, but the anticipation of new experiences and inspirations outweighed any hesitation. Upon arriving at the residency, I was struck by the beauty of the surroundings. The town was quaint and charming, with cobblestone streets, historic buildings, and an atmosphere that invited contemplation and creativity. The residency facility itself was a haven for artists, providing a supportive environment for both individual work and collaborative efforts. The first few days were spent settling in and familiarizing myself with the space. I met fellow residents, each with their own unique background and artistic practice. The diversity of perspectives and experiences created a stimulating environment, and I was eager to engage in conversations and exchanges with my peers. The residency program included workshops and seminars led by established artists, offering insights into various techniques and approaches. I found these sessions particularly enriching, as they provided new tools and ideas to incorporate into my work. The mentors were not only skilled artists but also passionate educators, eager to share their knowledge and foster growth. One of the highlights of the residency was a collaborative project that involved creating a public art installation in the town. The project aimed to engage the local community and reflect the themes of connection and transformation. Working alongside other artists on this project was an eye-opening experience, and it allowed me to see my work through a new lens. Throughout the residency, I took time to explore the town and its surroundings. The landscapes, local traditions, and vibrant culture provided endless inspiration for my art. I immersed myself in the experience, using the new environment to fuel my creativity and expand my artistic vision. As the residency drew to a close, I reflected on the profound impact it had on my work and personal growth. The time spent in a new setting, surrounded by diverse perspectives, had revitalized my creative process and deepened my appreciation for the role of art in bridging cultures and experiences. Returning home, I felt rejuvenated and inspired. The residency had not only provided me with new skills and insights but had also reinforced the importance of stepping outside my comfort zone to explore new opportunities. The connections I had made and the experiences I had gained would continue to influence my work and creative approach. With renewed enthusiasm, I was ready to embark on the next chapter of my artistic journey. The residency had opened doors to new possibilities and reaffirmed my commitment to using my art as a means of exploration and expression. As I resumed my routine, I was excited to integrate the lessons learned and the inspiration gained into my ongoing projects and future endeavors. The autumn breeze brought a refreshing change as I settled back into my routine after the residency. The experience had been transformative, and I was eager to translate my newfound inspiration into my work. With a renewed sense of purpose, I began working on a new series that combined elements from the residency with my existing themes of transformation and human connection. As I immersed myself in the creative process, I received an unexpected email from Dan. He was reaching out again, expressing a desire to reconnect and discuss a possible collaboration on a community art project. The email was a mix of professional interest and personal apology, and it caught me off guard. Despite the initial hesitation, I agreed to meet with Dan. We decided to meet at a local cafe, a neutral space where we could have a candid conversation. When we sat down, Dan seemed more earnest than before, and his demeanor was reflective. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," Dan began, "about the past and how I can make amends. I'm involved in a project aimed at bringing art into underserved communities. I believe it could be an opportunity for both of us to contribute positively and collaborate on something meaningful." His proposal was intriguing. The idea of using art to engage with and support communities in need aligned with some of the insights I had gained from the residency and the symposium. It was an opportunity to use my skills in a way that could have a tangible impact and foster positive change. We discussed the project in detail. The goal was to create a series of public art installations and workshops that would engage local residents, especially youth, in the creative process. It was designed to be a collaborative effort, involving artists, community members, and local organizations. The more we talked, the more I realized that this project could be a way to channel past conflicts into something constructive. It was an opportunity to move beyond the pain and work together on a common goal. I agreed to participate, and we began planning the project with a shared sense of enthusiasm. The project unfolded over several months. We worked closely with local organizations to understand the community's needs and incorporate their input into the art installations and workshops. It was a rewarding experience, as we saw firsthand the positive impact of our work on the community. One of the most gratifying moments was when we held a community event to unveil the completed installations. The reactions from the residents, especially the young participants, were heartwarming. It was clear that the project had not only beautified the area but also fostered a sense of pride and connection within the community. Throughout the process, Dan and I developed a new understanding and respect for each other. The collaborative work allowed us to rebuild a professional relationship and address some of the lingering issues from our past. It was a reminder that even challenging situations could lead to growth and reconciliation. As the project concluded, I reflected on the journey. The collaboration with Dan had been a test of personal and professional growth, and it had offered a chance to contribute to something greater than ourselves. It was a significant step forward in my artistic journey, and it reinforced the idea that art could be a powerful tool for positive change. Returning to my studio, I felt a deep sense of accomplishment and renewal. The project had not only expanded my artistic horizons but had also strengthened my commitment to using my art to make a difference. With this new chapter behind me, I looked forward to the future with a sense of purpose and anticipation. The ultimate goal was clear: to continue exploring and expanding my creative practice while making a meaningful impact through my work. The experiences of the past year had shaped my approach to art and life, and I was eager to embrace new opportunities and continue growing both personally and professionally.